Welcome to Risks of Sourcing Information from Social Media. My name is Danielle Adams. I'm the instructional librarian here at the public library. I do have a handout for you to take home, and there's a pen there in case you want to take any notes, but that's totally optional. All right, let's get started. So what you'll learn today is you're going to learn the risks of sourcing news from social media. So what kind of problems might you encounter by trusting everything that you see on the internet? And then you see something maybe a little questionable, how do you fact check that? So you know it might not be true, but how do you figure that out for sure? And by the end of the class, I'm going to want you to be able to identify 3 risks and then have 3 ways that you can fact check once you get home. So what is social media? It is a form of digital communication through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content. So what's that kind of fancy definition mean? It just means that it's an online platform that you and anyone else can create a profile and share anything that you want. So what does that mean? Anyone can share content about anything. So they were really designed to allow you to build a community with people that you know in person, that you have just met online, and it can even be interacting with strangers that you've never met before. If you're concerned about that, you can come to the library next week, same day, same time, for our How to Keep Your Information Secure online class. And we'll go into privacy settings on social media, making sure you don't fall for phishing scams, that kind of thing. So some quick definitions before we get started, so we're all on the same page of what risks we're trying to avoid. Misinformation is false or inaccurate information not intended to cause harm. So you think something is true, you put it online because you heard it somewhere else, that's misinformation. You didn't intend to cause harm, but it wasn't true. It was just something that you heard somewhere else and decided to share. But the really key part is you did not share it intending to cause harm, you were just misinformed. Disinformation is false information that was intended to cause harm. So that would be someone blatantly stating something false, knowing it's false, and wanting to cause an issue with someone, spread rumors and false information about a political figure, a celebrity, a government, you name it. And then malinformation is information that stems from the truth, but is taken a little too far, posed in a way that makes it seem more extreme than it is. So a great example would be, this medication causes a side effect, and an article or content says that this medication has a really deadly side effect, but 0.0001% of people face that on the medication. So it's true that is a side effect, but it doesn't affect people the way that this article is making it seem like it does. And then a deep fake. This is digitally manipulated content. So this is typically videos. If there's a video that exists of someone, so if there's a video that exists of you, someone could manipulate it digitally and make it look like you're doing or saying something that isn't true. This is really common with celebrities and politicians. It's not something that the average person has to worry about, a deep fake being made of them, but you do have to be concerned that you're watching a deep fake of someone else. So what are the risks? Anyone can share content about anything. So, that's great in some ways. You can build this global community, you can talk to anyone around the world, you can meet like-minded people, but there is a risk, right? Because you don't know who these people are, they're sharing information, you don't know if it's true or not, anyone can just say anything. So that's where fact-checking, becomes important, but it is unreliable on social media. Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram, used to have a fact-checking system in place, but they've since dissolved that, so there's very little protections for you from the companies themselves. So it's really up to the consumer, you, to be able to fact-check information for yourself. Because right now it's just, it's anyone's game. You're just reading, people's opinions, false information, and you have to determine what's true or not. And when you're anonymous online, that's really when this breeds misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So There's no rule that you have to make a profile with your pictures, your information, your phone number, email address. You can just make something completely up. You don't even have to use any real pictures. You could use an avatar, an animated picture. So this anonymity just makes it so that you're not afraid to say anything, versus if you were in a room with someone right now, you might not say that to them. And then sensational stories spread really fast. So if you see a headline that just is very sensational, outlandish, you might hover over it. Even if you don't click on the link, you might read that headline. And by the time it takes you to read the headline, the algorithm has already clocked it that you might be interested in that. And that's gonna help the information spread faster. Just that alone. And then all of the likes, the comments, the shares, the clicks onto the link, that all further tells the algorithm that people want to see this content. So it's gonna share it further with more people are gonna click it, and that's really how something goes viral. And if you interact with that fake news once, you're more likely to get more content like that. That's also how the algorithm works. It thinks you wanna see it, even if you hovered over that article, scrolled past and went, that was ridiculous, that's clearly not true. The algorithm doesn't know that's why you hovered, that you were thinking it was ridiculous and you don't want to see that kind of content. It just knows that you hovered and interacted in some type of way. And then deepfakes are becoming more convincing. Seeing used to be believing, not so much in the digital world anymore. Videos are quite easy to manipulate for a lot of people, and there's just a lot of content that just isn't true anymore. It's just have been completely fictionalized, and you can't necessarily trust everything that you see. There are ways to tell deep fakes, but it's really tricky for the average person, and it's kind of best to just take everything with a grain of salt at this point on the internet, and that gets into what you can do about it. So, we don't want to scare you with all of the risks of social media, but it's important to be aware of how you interact in the digital world. Do you have any questions about the risks before we jump into what you can do about it?
I've been seeing this thing called AI all over the place. Is that making all of these things harder to...
It is. So as AI gets smarter, so it learns from all of the content online. It's basically just technology, and it's built to learn like a human would. It's obviously not perfect yet. We're not there where it learns exactly like a human, but it can create images, videos, written content, and it's learning. It's getting better and better. Images are becoming more convincing. So you could type into an AI generator, President of the United States on the beach in a Speedo, right? And that would generate, and you could share that online, and it makes it look like, the president is, all over the beach. He's not doing his presidential duties. So it is becoming more of an issue. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So the first step of what you can do about all of these risks is be in this class. You're learning about social media literacy, which really empowers you to be able to go home, look at digital content critically, and think, is this real? Is this actual news? Is this someone's opinion? You'll be able to kind of suss that out a little bit more and have some confidence doing so. You'll be able to just know and research a little bit more about content that you see online. So if you see some content that you think is news, but you're not quite sure, you've never heard of this, news station before, I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. So does it incite an emotional response from you? You see this headline, you see an image, you see a video. Does it make you shocked? Does it make you angry? If it brings up some kind of large emotion for you, that's kind of a red flag. At the very least, it might be clickbait, which is just something that's designed to get you to click on that link and go to the website. It's often just a sensationalized news headline, and that's not really what the content's about, but it's trying to get you to that article. So that's kind of like the minor of it. The big issue would be disinformation that's being purposefully, created for harm. So it created an emotional response. So next question, does it make a bold or controversial claim? Is it something kind of outlandish? Is it something scandalous? Yes, another red flag, something that you should look into a little bit more and not take at face value. And then you can look if it's gone viral. There's no standard numbers, that you can look at, a certain amount of likes, that means it's gone viral. But if it has thousands of comments or likes or shares, it's a good indication that it's gone viral, and you might want to take pause and research if it's true or not. Real news can go viral, real videos, real images, all of that can go viral, but it can make you pause and think, is this just like an outlandish claim that's not real? So if you're suspicious of the content, first step you can kind of do is use a fact-checking site. So factcheck.org is a great one. So this is run by the Annenberg Public Policy Center, and they proactively fact-check news and claims, particularly ones from actual politicians and news stations, and it will tell you if things are false. It'll also tell you if things are true. So it's not just looking to debunk and discredit politicians or news organizations. It's really trying to help the public determine what is a real claim and what is not, or what might have some truth to it. So that would be the malinformation that we talked about. And you could also look up different Obama education investments. That's what you saw an article on. So you can look up all of these different fact check articles and you say, okay, it was preschool that I was looking at. And you can look and read the summary and see what points were true. You can look at the analysis. And that's a great way for, if you're just not sure about a claim someone made or an article that you saw that you're not sure is true. But what happens when it's not already been proactively fact-checked for you? First and foremost, don't assume that what you're seeing is correct, even if a trusted family or a friend sent it to you. Anyone can be easily swayed, me, on misinformation, especially if it's something that you agree with or something that you kind of already subscribe to and you're in that mindset. It can be easy to take something at face value. No matter who sends it to you, always just keep everything in mind. And one big thing, you can look for design elements that are kind of unprofessional. You can look if the logo seems a little off, if they're using really bright, bold colors. Usually, credible organizations don't use super bright, primary neon colors. You can also look at odd spacing, if the lines kind of aren't even between each other, if it just kind of seems a little wonky. That's a good indication that it might not be a real organization. They didn't take that much time to develop their website and their content. And if they're using GIFs, those are the short little animated clips. They're a video, but they just play on loop, really short, no audio. Typically, you're not gonna see credible news organizations sharing them. You can also verify domain names. So you see an article on Facebook and it's from http://whitehouse.com. You say, I don't know, I don't think it's .com. You can just Google White House and the real URL, https://www.whitehouse.gov will come up. And you're like, yeah, that's it. You go on the website, you verify that is the correct one, and you know that whitehouse.com is not a real organization, at least not associated with the White House and the president. So you can, take that news article with a grain of salt. Maybe it's someone's opinion. Maybe it's someone who writes a blog about, what's going on in the government, but it's not associated with the government. Another key thing that you can look for in domains is if, this I was a 1. It was wh1tehouse.gov. That would not be, the actual website. You can also look for the S. It should be HTTPS. There are some real websites without it, but it just means that it's secure, and usually, like credible organizations, governments, organization, anything, has that S. You can also, once you're on that website, say you click into whitehouse.com, also be careful what you click, never enter your information in websites that you're not confident in. That can be a scam. Again, next week you can learn more about that. So if they have contact information, a physical address, an about page, privacy policy, terms of use, all of those kind of more identifying and legal pages and information are a good indication that this is a real organization. You know where you can locate them, you can contact them, you know what their privacy policy is. Those are all things that are really going to indicate that it's real. Not every real organization has every single one of those things, but it's a good indication. You can also read the About Us page just to learn more about that organization. A lot of news organizations still have a bias. They're either left-leaning or right-leaning, and you might be able to glean some of that information from an About Us page. Even if it's an opinion blog, a lot of them will have About Us, and you can learn more about the person writing it, and you can know that, maybe they are a journalist who does this, in their spare time, and maybe they do a lot of research and they're pretty neutral. You might be able to learn that. You might be able to learn that it's just some random person who puts their opinions online, which again, not a bad thing, but you should know that when you're looking at the content so that you know that it's an opinion and to kind of take it and run with it for yourself, form your own opinion. And ensure the information is up to date. It could be a real news article from CNN, but if it's from 10 years ago, that might not be accurate information anymore. We might have learned something since then, and that it might just not be credible anymore. So always check the date. Again, not every website has all of the dates, but news organizations specifically will. And then easiest of all, you see a topic and you think, I don't know about that. It might be, president makes this really random thing illegal. All you have to do is Google it. Are other people talking about this? If not, it's probably not true at all. If they are, you might be able to see different opinions. You might be able to see if it was kind of stretched and became malinformation. It's not totally true. There's just like a little nugget of truth in there. So that's really how you can kind of suss out if the content is real or not. Do you have any questions about, how to find if an information that you see online is true?
No, I understand that.
Great. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna practice. So I want you to pull out your device, log into a social media account of your choosing, and just kind of scroll through. Try to find either a news article, a seemingly news article, a post that a friend made that has some kind of claim in it, and determine if it's false or not. I'll come around and just check in with you to see if you have any questions about any of the content that you haven't gotten to ask yet. And if you need any help determining if it's true or not. So try some of our different tactics here, and I'll be around shortly. Do you have any questions? Have you identified your news article?
I've seen lots of news articles, but they all seem potentially real.
Why? What indicates that they're real to you?
I've seen a lot that are multiple sources on my news feed talking about the same event, just in different perspectives.
That's a good indication too. You know, a lot of topics will be trending, not just one article or post or video. So if the topic is trending and there's a lot of different sources talking about it, that's another good indication. What would you have looked for if you just saw one article and you weren't sure if that claim was real? What would you have done?
Initially looking at who was sharing the information, like it was who the source was.
Mm-hmm.
I have lots of a mix of pop culture and actual news sources, and some of them are sharing the same things because they're big stories. And it's looking to see if it's a real place, or real, like if I see that a Fox source is sharing something, it looks like it's actually Fox, it sounds like what Fox would say. And then I scroll down further and a CNN account shows up, and it's CNN's official account. There's a little indicator with it that says it's verified. They're also sharing the same information, although from a different perspective. But that's, I think, what things like Facebook or Meta, I guess, now have is the little blue checkbox next to their names. Seems to indicate that, I think it's supposed to indicate that they're real.
Yeah, the verified checkmark does indicate that that page went through measures to indicate that they are a real organization or person. It depends on which account you have. If it's a verified person, you have to prove that you really are that person. If it's an organization, you just have to prove that the address and phone number and domain name and all of that are accurate. So that's a good way to indicate as well. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. So before you head out, I'm going to have you write down 3 risks and 3 ways that you can fact check once you get home. And then you can also fill out the exit survey, just so I know if you like the class and if you recommend it to anyone. It is anonymous, so no worries. If you did not like the class or you have any feedback, I am always looking to improve. And I will share this presentation after. If you would like, you can leave your email at the door if you would like this presentation, and there's some great references here where you can learn more. And I'll be sticking around for about an hour after the class, so you can hang out, ask me any questions about social media, disinformation, anything related to this or kind of digital content in general. And I'll be here. all set?
Yes.
All right, I can take that. Any last questions?
No.
All right, thank you so much for coming. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and then we'll see you back here for some more of our classes on digital content or anything else that you're interested in.